say we are treating the whole area of Red Hook, so not so much the Orange Canal specifically. First, we did a historical analysis of Red Hook because we noticed we noticed that Red Hook has a very rich history with the port. And now the actual state of the area is very much determined by its history. In the beginning of when the Dutch colonists arrived, it was mainly an agricultural area, and that continued in all the 17th century. In the 18th century, it was very much of military and strategic importance with the Portuguese lines, and then in the 19th century, they increased the importance of the natural port that Red Hook is. Many developers then noticed the value of the land, and speculation began. This is like an historical overview from all the bits and pieces that Red Hook during time began to form, like the agricultural area then becomes the grid in the middle of the 19th century, when all the ponds and the creeks are being filled, and then more and more basins, like the Atlantic Basin, Brooklyn and Erie Basin become developed, and now at the end of the 19th century, Red Hook Port increased in importance because of other areas in the became more important, and there became a disindustrialization of the area. They tried to renew the importance in the past century, but a lot of it, it didn't happen. There is a lot of characteristics were important, such as Hooverville. The Red Hook housed a lot of homeless and poor people in the Great Depression. The area became replaced by the Red Hook houses and the recreational park. And now there is a trend of beautifying the waterfront with the green parks, but all of this is going very slowly because there is there's a need of money.
You know they were Flemish, not Dutch. Right?
They were. Well, we found Dutch colonies, but
that's because of all the Dutch wrecked in history. It's true. Well, the company was Dutch, but the settlers were mainly Flemish because of the Spanish Inquisition. So the Protestants and Jews were thrown out of Flanders, so they went to North Amsterdam, and they couldn't stand the food, and so they moved on to New York.
Interesting.
That's also why, and the captain was actually a British man. I suppose.
Yeah. So you find Hoboken across from Manhattan. If you go up the Dutch corridor, you'll find plenty of Flemish places.
Well, all this historical analysis we did to notice that now Red Hook is very much an assembly of typologies, of materialities, and it's very much a collage city, like these aerial views illustrate. And we began to analyze the actual state, like the isolation of Red Hook by the water, the expressway, and the air train, and also the grid, which is very different from the initial grid in the 19th century because of the Red Hook houses, because of the port and the industry who manipulated, and also formed like completely different ways of using the area with paths only for industry.
What is that?
These are like
that's the F train.
Yeah, that's here it becomes overground and goes back into.
Air train.
Yes.
Elevator, yeah.
Air train is the one that takes you to the airport.
Ah, yeah, it's the elevator. This map shows all the frictions on the waterfront and in the crossroads that like show strange mutations and frictions in the grid. Especially, there are a lot of these on the waterfront, where a fence blocks a big part of all the waterfront, together with the leftovers of the industrial area, which is shown in this isometry. Like all these buildings are the industrial leftovers. A lot of them are empty or used for other reasons. We are now doing like the ones that are empty, and well, I'm just starting, but a lot of them are what is left over, what is not demolished is not in use or used for residential or retail. So this differs very much from the walls shown in these pictures from the flourishing part, where everything was filled with warehouses. Now it becomes very fragmented and empty, misused. Sorry, I'm not now.
So what are you supposed to do?
We are.
Is this only this semester or semester?
Yeah, the full year. We graduate in June. They either can go in September, but we don't want them to. Because we have to work more.
Yeah. You go back to in the summer when it's really hot.
So you could talk a bit more about what you may be planning to,
Yeah,
what your interest is, and what may be is very specific in your possible approach, and what you can actually do.
You know why Red Hook and Gowanus were so important. Really, when the Erie Canal was built, did we go through this?
I gave this an introduction to the
Yeah, in 1824, the canal was built. This was across New York State, but this meant they could ship things for 2,500 miles because the Erie Canal went into the Great Lakes and then you could go all the way to Mississippi Basin into Minnesota, Wisconsin. So all that shipping, this was the last stop. So the canal was where, and Red Hook was where materials were either transferred for ocean shipping or for industrial use. So it was huge. Nothing like it, certainly in the 19th century in North America. Of course, now it's gone, but you have to appreciate the huge scale of it. So the big issue with the port in the canal, this is where like the IKEA and what's the food place? Fairway, where the opposition to that, and now the opposition is growing, has to do with replacing, with the idea that infrastructure can never get replaced, and this is especially true of the canal. Therefore, the argument is that the city should not be casual about what it does there. In other words, you get one chance. So if you build condominiums, then that's it. You don't get any more production to speak of. If you remove all the infrastructure of the transfer of the port and all that, you get, that just seals the fate for probably forever. So there was huge opposition to the IKEA. Fairway slightly less, but around this question of the future of the city and the future of old infrastructure. So I think that's still a very big issue. It hasn't really started yet. But the canal is a big issue because you probably know, the developers like the Toll Brothers want to put up condominiums. Same issue. We were, of course, on the side of no condominiums and jobs instead. And we won because the site is so polluted. Red Hook less, but I don't know what Red Hook really is about as far as toxic sites go. But the canal, finally, the national government said, look, you can't do anything there. It's just too.
You know about the Superfund, right?
Yes.
You know about Superfund sites, right?
Yeah, but does that exclude then that there could be residential development?
No, but it's slightly, it's more subtle than that, because the Superfund simply said, and that's the largest urban Superfund in North America, and a huge precedent because it's urban. Usually these toxic sites are not right in the middle of, millions of people. So that's a very important precedent. And then the federal government, this discussion is ongoing, in fact, probably continuing in some form with the Superfund project. But that got designated because they said the site is simply too polluted to have any consideration right now of doing anything there until it's remediated. Then the question is, to what degree do you remediate? And that's where you get to the housing question, because they're different categories. So if you remediate for new industry, that's a certain level of cleanliness. If you remediate for, of course, for housing, it's the highest level, because people are living there constantly. So, in theory, yes, you could do housing, but it would be extremely expensive because of the cleanup.
And there was a remediation program, I guess, for like $500 million.
Well, it's still,
even more.
It'll be billions, but eventually. But yeah, they're starting to try to do the planning. There will be, of course, other sites in Red Hook with the same issues, but not as, probably not as large single pieces. But the interesting thing is for New York City, because they wasted a lot of land in the 80s and 90s, the big development sites now, especially in the boroughs, are the brownfield sites, because there's just no open land left. You have either waterfront, abandoned waterfront, some of which, of course, is brownfield, and then you have brownfield proper, like Lawrence Canal, other parts of Red Hook, the sites in the South Bronx, the site, Newtown Creek is another one. I don't know if you want there. Is that coming to you?
No, Newtown Creek is
further.
closer.
So yeah, so you have these big parcels, but they have huge costs associated. So the argument we used was very simple, that if you're going to invest billions of dollars over 20 to 30 years, you should get more at the end than a clean piece of dirt to put a condo on. And this should be tied into a new economy, new industrial development. Of course, there still could be housing, depending on the level of, because as you move in from the industrial sites, of course, it gets cleaner, so you can have housing up to a certain point without too much cost. But it's just like a new vision of urban production, which is very important for the city, because we lost the manufacturing, we're losing the finance. So unless we become another Paris with like a kind of cute center and a big mess, we have to reinvent the whole economy of the city. So this, your whole piece of site, that's a huge concern, I think.